So in this task, we're looking at angles in parallel lines. Firstly, let's just double check we know what a parallel line is and what it looks like when we draw it. So here is a line, and here is another line. And if those lines go on forever, then they're parallel if they never touch each other. Okay, and we show that. We can show that with an arrow like this or like this in a diagram to show that those lines are parallel. So those lines could go on forever and they never meet. Okay, they're always going to be the same distance apart. So when we're dealing with parallel lines, we get some useful information from that, which helps us figure out what to do with angles. And it's kind of extending from our general angle facts that we already know. So here we have two parallel lines, and we know that they're parallel because it's shown that those two lines are parallel. And we have another line which is crossing those two parallel lines. Now, because these two lines are parallel, what happens at this point here is exactly the same as what happens at this point here. Now, we're only given one of these angles at the moment. We're given this angle as 50 degrees. But from that single angle, we can calculate all of the other angles, which is quite amazing. So let's have a look at this. I'm just going to rub out what I've just drawn there. That's going to make it a bit easier. Let's start with that 50 degrees here. What we notice is that we have if I drew this nicely anyway, this line here is a straight line. In fact, let's use a highlight and that will probably do it better. So we have this line here and it is straight. So we know that on one side of that line, the angles must add up to 180 degrees. So we know that 50 plus C will add up to 180 degrees. So 180 minus 50, 50, 60, 70, 80 means that C equals 180 degrees. 180 degrees, 130, 150, 60, 70, 80, 130 degrees, okay? Oh, hang on. I've seen another line, which is also a straight line, and that is going in the other direction. So here we have another straight line, and we know that the two angles on the right-hand side of that line, which is C and B, well, they're also going to add up to 180 degrees, right? Because of the same rule. So we know that B will equal 50 degrees because of 50 plus 130 equals 180. Well, we can also see that B is opposite that other one, but they're the same. So when we have two lines which meet at a point, the angles which are vertically opposite each other, they're the same. So that 130 degrees there will be the same as the angle vertically opposite there, 130 degrees. Okay, so we're getting this, we can kind of derive these angles just from these very, very simple rules which we've learnt before. Now, this point, as I mentioned earlier, is exactly the same as this one, because this is a line that's going in one particular direction, and these two lines are going in the same direction as each other. The angles we get here are going to be exactly the same as the angles we get over here. So this angle, okay, this angle on the sort of left-hand bottom left corner is going to be the same. So that's going to be 50 degrees. This one over here is going to be 50 degrees. This one up here is going to be 130 degrees. And this one down here is going to be 130 degrees. So we can kind of derive all these angles just by looking at that. And they do have fancy names as well. So when we have two parallel lines, and you've got this angle and this angle, they are consecutive interior angles. They come in a row after each other, and they will add up to 180 degrees. And we can see that. So we can see that this angle here and this angle, 130, 100 plus 50, they add up to 180 degrees. But we can kind of derive this stuff as well. So I'm not going to go into the names of those anymore during this particular task. You're going to have a go at something very similar here to the one that I did. Just be really careful to look at which lines are parallel, and you'll be able to figure out all of these angles just from that one starting angle here of 30 degrees. Good luck. So again, we go round, we look at one of these straight lines. So here we've got a straight line. So we know 30 degrees there, this one plus this one will add up to 180. So this will be 150 degrees. Vertically opposite 150 degrees, we're going to get the same angle, 150 degrees. And these two here, they're both on the same side of that straight line at that point, and they're going to add up to 180 degrees. Different ways we can get these numbers, okay? And this one here, 30 degrees, that's the same as that one. And this point, this whole of this point, remember, is the same as the whole of this point. So over here, we're going to get 150 degrees, 150 degrees, exactly like we did down below, 30 degrees and 30 degrees. Okay, be very careful here. Check on this one. These are your parallel lines, okay, and they're marked as being parallel lines. And you've been given two angles. Try and find, you might want to start off by finding other angles first as well. So you might want to find out, well, what's this angle, and this angle maybe. Don't necessarily jump straight to like finding out what A is or B or C. They're the ones you do want to find, but generally when I get this kind of question, what I do is I just find all of the angles, and then eventually the question will kind of solve itself. Good luck.